back at 7:35, just a few minutes behind schedule. We're back in public session, so do we have public comment? Okay, Mr. Davis, please come up, name and address. If you would kindly tap the touchpad on the microphone in front of you. Little harder, up here it turns green. So right now it's red.
Well, no, it
Oh, it turns red?
turns red, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you
There you
go.
go.
Yep, touch.
Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Timothy Davis, 257 Atlantic Avenue in Cohasset. First, let me say that I very much respect each of you and appreciate your willingness to serve our community. That said, I and many members of the community are deeply disappointed with your actions leading up to and the signing of the intermunicipal agreement with Scituate. This agreement, which in many ways negatively impacts the entire town of Cohasset, abdicates the use of Cohasset Harbor that has been a Cohasset resource for hundreds of years. The process leading up to the signing rejected the consultation of many Cohasset organizations directly affected by the use of your executive session. It has not only given away a wonderful resource that many in this town have enjoyed, but it has also created a potential liability for all Cohasset taxpayers. You have a document which I will not read in public tonight, but I do request that you hold a public forum to discuss the intermunicipal agreement and how we arrived at this travesty. Thank you.
Mr. Davis. Any more? Mr. Tarpey?
Instructions, is this still on?
It's still
Oh,
on, yes.
Okay. Dan Tarpey, 12 Bates Lane. Here to talk a little bit about the RTF and kind of get an appreciation as to where we are. At special town meeting during the town engineer's presentation, he kind of laid out two options that were very likely if the RTF enterprise fund failed as it did. One option was the RTF is going to close. The second option was that the fees for stickers and bags were essentially going to double or more so. And I'm trying to find out where we are tonight because it was explained during the special town meeting as a matter of some urgency. So I was here to ask you, one, is the RTF in danger of closing? And two, are you contemplating doubling the fees where they are at this point?
Okay, we typically don't comment on public comment because it's not an
Okay.
it's not an agenda item.
All righty.
So if
My mistake. I'm sorry. I will wait for whatever you guys get around to that.
Well, hang on 1 minute. I was just going to say, if my colleagues don't mind, I can just answer and we
Sure.
cannot really engage in a back and forth.
No worries.
So we have not discussed this as an agenda item since special town meeting,
Mhm.
number one. Number two is we don't have any immediate intent to close the RTF now or in the near future or in the long-term future. And number three, we have not discussed
Okay.
any fee changes at this point in time.
My reason for bringing it up was special town meeting. It was mentioned as a matter of some urgency. And I think there was some sort of discussion about taking those matters up at the next select board meeting. So I didn't know, having had a couple of select board meetings since then,
Yeah.
whether or not,
It has not made onto an agenda since special town.
okay, the pilot program. It's my feeling and the feeling of a lot of other people that when the enterprise fund was voted down, the pilot program was included in that. And I think I sent you an email with an extract of your minutes that pretty much said that the pilot program was contingent upon the enterprise fund passing at special town meeting. So I guess the question is the pilot program going forward?
Yes.
Okay. despite the fact that the town voted it down at special town meeting.
So I'm just going to make one more comment and then we'll table it when we can put this on the agenda. The town meeting voted down the enterprise fund, which is a financial mechanism to account for revenues and expenses. The operational components of how the RTF is run was not on the table, but was provided as backstory to support the enterprise fund. And in that table of fees, it's all the fees, including the pilot program fees that we voted on in those minutes.
Okay, I disagree very,
Okay,
very much.
so,
And I just want to mention again, the extract from your minutes that clearly say that the pilot program going forward was contingent upon your approved minutes, contingent upon the initiative passing a special town meeting. You can't have it both ways. You have to kind of deal with it at some point. But I understand it will be coming up on an agenda. I appreciate your time. One other thing is, if the pilot program is going forward, where is it? A pilot program requires a document, a governing document to put it into practice. If you just vote for a pilot program, you voted for nothing. Everything becomes anecdotal. Pilot programs typically have goals, objectives, which need to be analyzed and measured. And if this thing is going forward in the near term and there's no governing document, then I think that already it's a problem. Thank you.
okay. Any more public comment? Anything online, Kevin? Okay, so we will move into our annual license renewals and approval for signature and vote, as we've done in the past. In our packet, there's multiple listings of all the different types of licenses, and Mr. Farag is going to read them. It will require motions and seconds and votes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10, 11, 12 for us to get through. So he'll go through it quickly.
Yeah, I'll read them off because we're bundling all the different licenses by categories. So the first one is to move to approve the renewal of the following all alcohol on premises licenses for Celtic Bistro Corporation, DBA Be a Bistro, the Corner Stop Eatery, DBA The Corner Stop, Stoked Pizza LLC, or Stoked Pizza Cohasset LLC, DBA Stoked Pizza, V and AA Incorporated, DBA Ava Cucina, R&P Incorporated, DBA Phoenix Bistro, Nigen's Kitchen One LLC, DBA Nigen's Kitchen, Atlantica Operating LLC, DBA The Old Salt House, Vindhan LLC, DBA Golf Tavern, and Hooper's Judge LLC.
So do I have a motion? I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. The next one is to move to approve the renewal of the following in-holder all alcohol on premises license, the Red Lion Inn Operating LLC, DBA The Red Lion Inn.
I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Move to approve the renewal of all of the following club all alcohol on premises licenses, the George H. Mealy Post 118, the American Legion, Golf Club, Cohasset Golf Club, DBA the Cohasset Golf Club, and the Cohasset Yacht Club.
I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Move to approve the renewal of the following wine and malt on premises licenses, South Shore Playhouse Associates, DBA South Shore Music Circus, 5 South Main Incorporated, DBA 5 South Main, Salty Days Cohasset LLC, DBA Salty Days Fish, and Stevie's Restaurant Cohasset LLC, DBA Stevie G's.
Do I have a motion?
Moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
A move to approve the renewal of all the following retail package all alcohol licenses, Whiskey Wine Cohasset Incorporated, DBA Whiskey and Wine, Yogi Raj Corp., DBA Curtis Liquors, Sanjan Enterprises LLC, DBA Cohasset Wine and Spirits.
Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move to approve the renewal of the following retail package wine and malt licenses: Mulaney's Fish Market, Barrel and Vine LLC, DBA Barrel and Vine.
Motion,
So moved.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This is going to be a long one. The move to approve the renewal of all the common victual licenses: Celtic Bistro Corporation, DBA Be a Bistro, The Corner Stop Eatery, DBA The Corner Stop, V and AA Incorporated, DBA Ava Cucina, Nigen's Kitchen One LLC, DBA Nigen's Kitchen, Hooper's Drudge LLC, Salty Days Cohasset, 5 South Main, South Shore Playhouse Associates, DBA South Shore Music Circus, George H. Mealy Post 118, The American Legion, Atlantic Operating LLC, DBA The Old Salt House, Stoked Pizza Cohasset LLC, DBA Stoked Pizza, Vidian LLC, DBA The Golf Tavern, The Red Lion Inn Operating LLC, DBA The Red Lion Inn, Cohasset Pizza House, Cohasset Golf Club, Atlantic Bagel, Chief Donuts LLC, King Donuts LLC, French Memories, JJ's Dairy Hut, Olympus Grill, Starbucks, Thurman LLC, DBA Hook Pizza Company, 3A Pizza and Grill, DBA 3A Pizza and Grill, R&P Inc., DBA Phoenix Bistro, Cohasset Yacht Club, Stevie G's Restaurant, Cohasset LLC, DBA Stevie G's, Cohasset Pizza Company Incorporated, DBA Victoria's.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Move to approve the renewal of all of the following Sunday state entertainment licenses: Sunday state entertainment licenses renewal 2025. The Red Lion Inn Operating LLC, DBA The Red Lion Inn, The Corner Stop Eatery, DBA The Corner Stop, Just Add Water Inc., DBA Captain's Hideaway, South Shore Playhouse Associates, DBA South Shore Music Circus, George H. Mealy Post 118, The American Legion, Celtic Bistro Corp., DBA Be a Bistro, Cohasset Golf Club, Hooper's Judge, Nigen's Kitchen One LLC, DBA Nigen's Kitchen, Stevie G's Restaurant, Cohasset LLC, DBA Stevie G's.
Do I have a motion?
Moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye. Move to approve the renewal of all of the following local entertainment licenses: The Red Lion Inn Operating LLC, DBA The Red Lion Inn, Hooper's Judge LLC, South Shore Playhouse Associates, DBA South Shore Music Circus, George H. Mealy Post 118, The American Legion, The Corner Stop Eatery, DBA The Corner Stop, Celtic Bistro Corporation, DBA Be a Bistro, Nigen's Kitchen One LLC, DBA Nigen's Kitchen, Cohasset Golf Club, Stevie G's Restaurant, Cohasset LLC, DBA Stevie G's.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye. Move to approve the following video game and pinball machine licenses: Stoked Pizza LLC, DBA Stoked Pizza, Cohasset Pizza House.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
2 more to go. Move to approve the renewal of the following Class 1 and Class 3 car sales, new and used vehicles licenses: WN Motors Incorporated, DBA Coastal Nissan, 742 CJCH, Cohasset Imports, 508 CJCH.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And finally, move to approve the renewal of the following Class 2 car sales used vehicles licenses: CBK Auto, Jeffrey Pincus, 547 Beechwood Street, Aristocrat Auto and Truck Sales, Joseph Rosano, 105 Ripley Road, Rattenberry, DBA Rattenberry Auto Works, and Cohasset Auto Sales, Jafar Nuruddin.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
and that's the end of that.
And that's the end of that, other than the fact that somewhere we have 8,000 licenses to find
I was
tonight.
just wondering that.
Yep, yep, we do. Okay, so next up, speaking of licenses, so as you may recall, we had petitioned the state for an additional 5 all alcohol on-premise liquor licenses. It's now in the State House. It's House Bill number 4561. And Representative Moschino, who has been spearheading this for us, has requested that we modify the language slightly. All of the details were in your packet. in terms of how the bill actually reads. And we just need, they need an authorized signature from us to adopt the new language. Does anyone have any questions on the language or on what we're doing? What we're being asked to do? No? Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the Commonwealth of Massachusetts House Bill 4561, which authorizes the town of Cohasset to grant 5 additional liquor licenses for the sale of all alcohol beverages to be drunk on premises pursuant to the language filed on September 19th, 2025?
So moved.
Okay. Sorry.
We need a second.
I know, I can't write and talk at the same time. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Plex. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Paul Grady, aye. Chris Plex, aye.
David Farag, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Okay, and then I'm going to pass this around and it requires our signature and Michelle will get it stamped and certified to Representative Mosquito's office. Toot sweet. Okay, next up is the audit services approval vote. Michelle had provided some information for us in our packet in terms of the audit. Now, we had not too long ago the audit done by CBIZ. They came in and it was quite a lengthy document. We got very high marks, not only on the formatting of our financials, but also the content of which we all know helps support our AAA bond rating. So, Michelle, do you want to talk about the different bids?
So, we went back out to bid, this year because our contract expires at the end of this month. CBIZ is our current audit firm. We went out to bid. They had the opportunity to respond to the bid for audit services. We had 3 people respond. The lowest bidder was Roselli Clark and Associates. Therefore, we would like to award the bid to Roselli Clark.
Okay, does anyone have any questions?
My only question was on the scope with 2 things. Number one, regarding the enterprise funds, when we had the last audit, when I'd asked the question about reconciling the enterprise funds, maybe even not fully, but at least to the expense side and the indirect costs, it didn't seem like those get audited for reconciliation per se. So is that something that is in this scope, or if it's something that could be added to it?
It's something that we could add to the scope. And we could add it after we choose the audit firm. Or if you'd like, we can go back out to bid, add it to the scope, and then have them all rebid.
Again, because there's the rest of the board, I wouldn't ask to go out rebid since we already have these bids in hand. And then the second question is regarding, do we have any policies regarding the indirect costs for the enterprise funds? Because in the last audit, I didn't see that being commented on, and I don't believe that we have any, but if you have any understanding of that.
Best of my understanding, we do not have any policies for indirect costs. They've been allocated the same way for many years. It's a percentage of salaries that work with the enterprise funds. And they change annually based on cost of living, based on increased staffing or decreased staffing.
Okay, I wouldn't want to restrict the town manager in dealing with the indirect costs because they do have to get charged to the funds, but I think that we could talk about it maybe another time, overall setting at least just a basic framework of policy of what they should be, and then leave some elbow room in there if something came up that was a cost that was not on the list, so to speak, that it would give some flexibility, obviously, but I think there should be some policies, and especially if we want to keep our AAA bond rating, I think that would be something that would be looked at as well. So, but that would be for a further discussion at a further time. Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions?
Just one question, Michelle, any concerns with the qualifications of Roselli Clark and Associates?
Highly qualified.
Thank you.
Kind of dovetails to my question. Do you have like referrals of other municipalities that have used them? Okay. Okay. All right. So with no further questions, you need a vote, Michelle?
I do.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve Roselli Clark and Associates to perform the Cohasset auditing services?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I'm trying to multitask here, and I'm the one that's not good at it. Okay, so Cohasset Cemetery discussion vote.
Good evening, Glenn Pratt. We're here tonight to ask that you raise the prices for fees and for the cost of cemetery lots at our town cemeteries. The last time the price was raised for burial lots was in 2001, some 25 years ago. And the last time we raised fees, which is for the charges for the labor and the machinery it takes to open a grave and close a grave, was in January of 23. So that's 3 years ago. So in your packet of price list, so we have 4 municipal cemeteries in Cohasset. Beechwood, which we took over from a defunct Beechwood Cemetery Association. 4 came with no money and no records. Woodside Cemetery, which has been active since 1906, is our biggest cemetery. And we have 2 small cemeteries that are believed to be full. Greengate Cemetery, which is over on Jerusalem Road, way up on the hill by the Greek Church. And the Cedar Street Cemetery, which is a fun little ancient cemetery right in the middle of the Cohasset Golf Club. Which, by the way, the golf club takes care of it for us. They cut the grass and the weeds and like that because it's a feature. So those are the 4 cemeteries that we operate and that these fees would apply to. The original price per lot was set back in 2001 when we did the big expansion of Woodside and built the area known as the Gold Star Mothers. And the mortgage was $750,000 and we had to pay in 10 years. So we figured if we could sell 25 or 30 graves a year at these prices, we'll be able to pay down the debt in the 10 years, which we did. And then we didn't do anything else about it. But in the world of today, nothing stays the same price for 25 years. And we actually are using the sale of graves money now to help with the maintenance. The state law, Chapter 114, requires that a minimum of 25% of lot sales price goes into a perpetual care account. For many years, that came and went and wasn't strictly adhered to, but we have been lately. So that goes into perpetual care. So 25% is taken off the top of this. And the balance of these sale of graves, money goes into an account called just that, sale of graves. And what we've been doing for the last 3 years, that fund is controlled by town meeting vote. It's part of the annual budget. We have been transferring money out of that account to be used for cemetery maintenance, which made a dramatic change in the way we've been able to keep the cemeteries up over the last 3 years. But we need to continue to put money into that, which is why we want to get the price increase now, so we can continue to do that, because eventually that fund is not going to be able to stand it. But if we can put 30,000 or so a year into that fund, we can maintain the same kind of budgeting, what we've done successfully over the last three seasons. So that's basically why we are here. We would like to also ask that we, in this vote, if you read these changes, is that we say that these prices will increase 2.5% a year going forward. That way that'll keep pace with a lot of things. The fees, which is for the opening of the graves and filling in and that kind of thing, that's based on our actual cost. The average amount of man hours that goes into a full casket burial is about 15. So that's from the first time that the owner or the funeral home contacts our office, go into the field and show people what we have for graves available or discuss what's available in the graves they already own. And then we go and dig the grave, which requires trucks, men. We prepare the grave for the vault company to come. They come, put the vault in, hopefully the day before the burial. We go back the day of the burial or whatever time it is. There are some things you see on the fee schedule for overtime and holidays and like that. And then we're there for a few hours, whatever the ceremony takes. We have to have the vault company put the top on the vault. We have to fill in the hole, rake the loam out, clean it up, and it has to be finished that day. You can't leave a grave open without human remains in it without being covered. So it takes a lot of time. And our tractor, which we just replaced last year, was 25 years old. We had bought it when we did the addition in 2001. So in these fees, we have our actual cost for labor. We have a little bit of a burden on labor cost, and we have a little depreciation for our equipment. We're trying to make it so that this service pays its way, and it's based on something. We just didn't pick these numbers out of the air. So that's our pitch. I don't know if Brian has any.
No, you covered it all. Thanks, Glenn.
So I guess the next thing is questions.
I have a few, but I'll defer. Anyone? Questions?
The cemeteries generally look impeccable, and especially from where they were 20 years ago, it's quite a change, especially on the Cedar Street one, which for many years was overgrown and you couldn't even see it. Now it's not only cut back, but there's even a little turn in where you could park, I believe. But as far as the roadway within the Woodside Cemetery, which would need some, that's the one thing that's in need of repair. Would that be able to come out of this fund, or does that come out of the DPW fund for paving, or where would that?
That would be an expense from the perpetual care funds.
Okay.
Now, we've looked at that over the last couple of years. Now, the perpetual care funds collectively have, just a shade over $750,000. So, and we've had successful run of earnings over the last few years. So we seem to stay around that amount of money. And when we look at the cost of paving, they're at $100,000. We just keep shrugging, saying, wow. That's a big piece out of our perpetual care and our potential to build that fund. So, yes, you're right. We look at it, but we just can't pull the trigger.
Yeah, no, it's, your question is right on. So we've been talking about it with the road fund. But again, we're kind of prioritizing our traveled ways more than the cemeteries. But we are getting quotes on paving the Woodside Cemetery for this year. And then we'll decide on, what bucket of funds we can pull out of. There's been a lot of upgrade work with the recent appropriations from Sailor Graves to do irrigation and electrical down there. So there is a lot of cuts in those roadways, and it does need to be repaired.
Right.
It's on our radar.
We were in probably 2 years ago and asked, give your board a list of items that we wanted to spend money from the perpetual care funds on. You approved $91,000. It's been a couple of years. We haven't completed all those jobs yet because there's find the right vendor and there's all sorts of things that go along. So we have been actively approving the cemeteries and making them look better with the, how you releasing those funds to us. But, Brian's looking on his side for, highway money, and we're saying 100,000. Well, so.
It's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that a lot of people at home might not know, but that the cemetery commissioners for the town are the select board. Is that not correct? So
The cemetery commissioners in Cohasset are the select board, and we have been long thinking about putting together a proposal to the board to say to delegate that down to 3 other appointed commissioners. The cemetery operation, it requires attention. The park superintendent, Chris Murray, and the DPW superintendent, Carl Sestito, they need somebody to bounce things off every week. There's always something going on that's out of the ordinary. And so, it's something we can think about. We'll talk about it to you more as the year goes on. But it's been in our mind. We've also been trying to figure out if there's a way. We've talked a little bit with the town accountant on whether these fees can be put into a revolving fund instead of going to the general. So lots more pieces that we do want to talk to you about on cemeteries, but we didn't plan that for tonight.
the last thing I want to ask, didn't want to interrupt anybody else, was if anybody at home had a question or wanted to buy a grave or anything like that, who should they contact, so that now that we have everybody online, and this will be on YouTube and everything?
Yeah, so they contact the DPW office at 91 Cedar Street. So that's where the cemetery office is, and that's where all the records are kept and the sales are made.
Great, thank you.
And we are about to 3 years ago, we were funded by town meeting to buy a cemetery database management program. We have been plugging along, getting that ready to go, and hopefully in the next few months that'll be ready. And also that'll be available online for people to research graves and look up who might be buried, or they can look and see what their family owns too. But of course, before you can do that, we've got to make certain it's 100% accurate.
Right.
Which we're starting to wonder whether we're able to get there. But
You guys have any questions?
Nope.
No, I just have a couple. So, forgive my ignorance on this. Is anyone from any town allowed to be buried in any Cohasset cemetery?
you have to, in order to buy a grave, you have to be a resident or a former resident.
Resident or from,
right?
okay,
However, you don't have to be a Cohasset resident to be buried there, but you have to be somehow related to the person who owns it,
oh, okay,
No.
so to buy, but not to be buried
right? But you have to be connected somehow.
somehow, okay,
It's got to be. And that's one of the things that, takes time. Someone will come in and say, I want to bury Uncle Bert with Uncle Paul. And we say, okay, fine, well, who are you? And we can see
Right.
you're upset, but how do we know that, and
right.
so it takes a little time and working with the funeral homes and people to get that sorted out.
Because then it kind of makes my next question moot is, are these rates comparable on the South Shore? If someone's looking just for a spot, are they, because it's a
Well,
lot of money, so,
So it's very difficult to do comparisons because everyone has a different cost basis. Now, we explained how we got to ours to start with. In 1960, you could buy a grave for $25. So we got to our price the way we did, but every situation is different. So if you look at Hull, you can buy a grave for $600, except you can't buy it until you need it.
Oh.
So that's an issue. The Norwell Municipal Cemeteries are $1,225. Hingham Municipal Cemetery is $1,500. The big cemetery that has the most space and is most active in Hingham is St. Paul's, and that's $3,000. The Blue Hills, which is a big private cemetery around here, is $5,500 grave. Central Cemetery, which is on North Main Street here in town, down at Joy Place, which is a private association, owns that. There are no full burial spaces left for sale there. If you look at niches and columbariums, receptacles for ashes, at Blue Hills, $2,800. St. Paul's and Hingham is $2,000. Cohasset Central Cemetery is $6,000. And Hull is $500. We learned last week at one of the cemetery seminars that there are some plots for two urns, for two ashes remains at Mount Auburn Cemetery in Cambridge, available for $125,000.
wow,
So it's all over the place.
okay,
Um,
okay.
So yeah,
But in Cohasset, there has to be a connection.
you have to be a resident or a former
Yeah.
resident. So the former resident opens it up pretty broadly, it seems.
Okay. I know you have a question. I have one more. So you requested that the fees be allowed to be adjusted 2.5% per annum, right, per fiscal year. That would make them odd numbers, right? Adding,
Oh, probably, yeah.
yeah. And is that gonna, how is that gonna how is that gonna impact your customer service level? So this year it's 12.25 and next year it's 12.25 plus 2.5%, which I can't do that math in my head anymore. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
It's gonna be 1232.77
Yeah.
or something like that.
Well, everything has to be handled through a funeral home. So the funeral home has this,
Okay,
and at the end of the day, when everything is figured out,
it is what it
it
is.
is what it is. They write the
Okay.
check and.
Okay. And are we allowed by law to grant an annual do we have to do it every year? Or tonight, if we vote this way to 2.5%, is that just going to be automatic?
Well, it feels like it could be automatic. Our cemetery consultant, Tom Daly, says that's what a lot of municipals do. However, I defer to Michelle, someone in that part of the house.
So I'm not that familiar with cemetery costs. However, our consultant says that it's consistent across the board, and that's what other communities do. So I would
Okay.
rely on this information. But we can come back with that.
Okay. Mr. Flex had a question.
I just want to clarify the costs that are proposed for the vote today. Those are cost based. So the pricing that you have on the sheet that's in front of us, that's all cost based. It's not
These fees, yeah.
discretionary.
Yes. these are
Right,
fees,
that's
yeah,
our
right,
labor costs and equipment.
Right,
Right.
right. There's always push and shove because sometimes the funeral gets there late. Now they stay longer and it goes over, and there's always a back and forth with the funeral home about what it actually totaled up to, but they figure it out in the field, and I think that's where we should leave it to be figured out, you know.
And that's where I take comfort from your proposal, that it's based on the costs of what's actually happening. I know we've started talking about this 2.5% adder. I like keeping it cost-based as opposed to trying to track inflation. Inflation bounces around, so.
So I would propose two motions. I would propose a motion to accept the fees as presented tonight so that they're in effect. And then I would propose a motion to increase the fees 2.5% in keeping with Proposition 2.5 annually, pending confirmation from legal counsel. I don't mean any disrespect to the consultant on cemeteries, but I think it's always good just to get a,
Good, yeah. right.
so that way you still get the fees increased, and then we can do the 2.5%. We'll be fine. You won't have to come back unless the council comes back and says, no, you can't do that. You have to vote every year. Is that acceptable?
Point to the odd numbers is a fair point.
Yeah, it is. So, yeah, whatever they say is gonna work for us, that's for sure.
Could we discuss the 2.5?
Sure.
For a moment?
Sure.
I would just hate to set the expectation that these costs would be maintained at 2.5% a year if they go up faster than that.
Right.
Or if they go up less quickly than that, but we have the 2.5% in there.
Yeah, yeah.
We lose the opportunity to sync the costs with
Yeah,
the fees.
yeah.
Personally, I like syncing the costs with the fees. I know 2.5% is generally what inflation tracks at. But
Yeah.
if we can keep the costs and the fees in sync, that would be my preference.
Okay. I think that's a fair comment.
I might be agreeing with you, yeah.
Okay. I'm okay. I think that's a great point. So I'm completely okay with that. Everyone else? Okay, so then we'll just have one motion then. All right, so and we'll see you every year.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Probably
Not that-
a little more frequently than that, but maybe.
Yeah, but-
cemeteries.
On this particular
Right.
topic. Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the Town of Cohasset Cemetery price list effective January 1, 2026?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, set the date for annual town meeting 2026 and election vote, which kind of ties in with, we got a pass of the budget calendar at our last meeting, and I think it's the same as before. Annual town meeting is May 4th and the annual town election, May 16th. Anyone have any comments or questions on those two dates? Nope, and the town election will be at the Deer Hill School, is that correct? Yeah, I think they voted that when they did their calendar. They do their calendar in September. Okay, so it's gonna be two motions. May I have a motion to approve annual town meeting on May 4th, 2026?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. May I have a motion to approve May 16th as the annual town election?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that was easy. Approve FY, okay, now the budget calendar. Any changes, Michelle? I didn't go line by line to the last.
The only change that was made was, the notice of intent for the annual town meeting released is now December 17th. The prior one you had December 15th.
Oh, okay,
To adjust that. And the school budget adoption, has been changed to March 25th and confirmed by the schools.
okay, great. So I know the last time, and we don't need to put the detail on here, but I want to make sure that we budget and that everybody wraps their head around the departmental budget reviews. And if we need to meet every week to do it, or if we need to meet 2 nights in a row to do it, I think it's very important that we hear from all of the major departments. And that looks to be January 5th through the 22nd. All right, town operating budget request reviewed. So within that time frame, Michelle, why don't we sketch out what that might look like so that everyone can look at their calendars? And I'm open to earlier starts or later starts, or I think some towns power through in an all-night session, every department budget. I think that's a bit challenging. So let's figure out what works.
I'll
Best.
send her on some dates tomorrow, because we have some dates already set internally,
Okay,
and we'll see if those work.
okay. All right. So can I have a motion to approve the FY 27 budget and town meeting planning calendar?
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. 135 King Street, update recommendations, preliminary direction. Oh, Mr. Pratt is back.
Glenn Pratt, Chairman of the Public Facilities Working Group. So an update on where we've been since the town meeting. We have created a new committee, which is made up of the two fire and police chiefs, representative from capital budget, representative from advisory board, 8 citizens, and 5 members of the firefighters union. There are 17 people on the group, very large, but it's giving us a very broad look at the situation. Paul, I listed you as a citizen, but you're in the 17 count as a citizen. Okay. Anyway, so we've been meeting every other week. We have a communications subcommittee who is pushing out information on social media once a week. Some very interesting things have gone out. The one went out last week about what happens when a 911 call comes in. We've done we're working on a virtual photo tour of the Elm Street campus, so that'll be coming out. We have had probably 4 now open houses, behind the scenes tours at fire and police. One of them was even, I think it was one evening last week, and weekends. We have 4 public forums scheduled for January. They'll be scattered around town. They'll be in West Corner, they'll be at Beechwood, they'll be here. And we'll be doing something with the seniors here in the senior center during the daytime. So that's the communications outreach part. What we have done as a group is we've heard a lot about, are you sure this is the right parcel? And then there are other pieces of land that could be considered. We've looked at the open parcels of land on the Route 3A corridor. Most are owned by private individuals. The town only owns a few of them, and none of them meet any of the qualifications to build a facility like this. So it's been taken off the board as any place to go. We would have to acquire the land anyway, so it wouldn't probably help with our numbers. So at this week's meeting, the group decided we would move ahead with looking at plans and what the cost is to reduce and eliminate the fire substation that we currently have planned at 135. The new plan we'll take a look at will be whatever we do there will be not something that'll preclude in the future being able to put the substation on that site. So that's what we've given direction to the architects and project engineer to come back with what kind of cost reductions we might see by doing that. Then we also agreed that the next thing we're going to do, which I believe is at our next meeting on the 8th of January, is we're going to delve into Elm Street. We think that take a fresh new look at what to do with Elm Street, see what the fire needs. There'll be some expansion that we hadn't thought about before down there, which will include space so we can put the second ambulance there. And once that's in and under their control, that becomes serviceable and helps with some of our other response times and things like that. So that Elm Street plan will be looked at January 8th. And then we'll consider all the costs. What's Elm Street going to be? What are the potential savings or cost reductions that we come up with at 135? And we'll try to develop a program along with your board, of course. How do we present these 2 addresses and these 2 buildings as one public safety project? One of the things that makes it a little difficult is that the Elm Street portion may not be underway for 3 years. It certainly won't be done before. So that makes the budgeting difficult, and the financing, how do you do it and how do you look? And but that will come next after we come up with a plan of what we want to do there. And then we think it's probably something our group should stay involved in, is working with finance and capital budget to see different options on how it could be financed or paid for. So that's where we're at. We've made a lot of progress. We meet every other week, like I said. We're skipping next week, but we're right back at it in January. So, any questions?
I have a few comments, but
I just had a couple. Looking at that change, I guess the question is what is driving that decision? Is it just cost? Is it operations? Where is it coming to drop the substation? I guess is the question.
The substation was thought to be a big portion of the cost. We're going to find out exactly what that is, because we find out that just because you drop the FUD substation, it doesn't mean you can change the parking and you can't change some of this big site work. The firefighters union has given us information that we hadn't considered before, that, staffing might not give us the bang for the buck that we had hoped with that substation. So we felt that it's time to take a fresh look without that being there, and concentrate on making Elm Street as viable and improved via headquarters as we can, but make it so that 135, we don't do something that precludes putting a substation up there in the future. Now, we talked briefly about if it's not 135 for a substation, should part of our work as we go along be to identify a 3A place where we could put a substation in the future if it's not 135? Didn't conclude anything on that, but it's been out on the table.
I guess the other question you might not be able to answer, it might be rhetorical, but the planning group had been working on this for over 2 years, had the fire chief in it. How come at the 11th hour now we're hearing from the firefighters union regarding new information regarding planning issues? Because this group has been around for over 2 years and they obviously knew about it. We're reading it in the paper every day. So what was the change that made them come forward to wanting it into a different area?
Well, that is a rhetorical question. I have no idea what made them sit on the bench until just before town meeting. But one of the things that we knew going into town meeting was that the price tag was way higher than anybody had thought. And we at least had to make some effort to find a way to reduce that price. We have no idea what that'll be with this particular thing we're looking at now. That's where we are.
I would say going forward, a couple of things regarding, because we've talked about earlier, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, that they're going to have an urgent care in the Stop and Shop Plaza. And that one of the things in looking at the police station and or substation and or not substation, but just the whole thing in general, is you might want to talk to the Marshfield Fire Department and get the numbers for how many trips that the ambulance goes to their urgent care that they have in Marshfield. It might be a lot, it might be a little, but that's something that's brand new, that was not on the table regarding the service that would be in Cohasset. And the other thing is, I'm glad to hear that one way or another that second ambulance comes into play, because in what has been put out by the public safety group, which has been fantastic with all the information. One thing isn't in there is that what is the time period that we get an ambulance to somebody when the ambulance is in service and it's South Shore Hospital. So it's not going to be 5 minutes, 8 minutes, these things like that. If that ambulance is already dealing with an accident and they're at South Shore Hospital, what is the average time period for somebody when they are in an accident, if they're unfortunately the second accident that we have in town?
One of the things that we learned, and we hadn't known before, was that every one of the Cohasset fire trucks has everything that an ambulance has on it. So if a fire truck is there, you are just as well as if the ambulance is there. You just have to wait for transport. So, I mean, that's different. Everything not getting on your way is a problem. But we learned and we pushed that out for information that people do is that every fire truck is an ambulance. It just can't transport. And every firefighter is paramedic.
But that would be, if we have it, that'll be a stat to find, because again, all the fire trucks can give you the care and service while you're there, but you need to get to a hospital. And the only way you can do that is in an ambulance.
That's why the committee is looking to get that second, it's important to get that second ambulance online.
Oh, yes.
And so we're just looking for the spots now that fire, you kind of late in the game. But we also have to be cognizant of staffing issues where they say by rules, they have to have 4 at Elm or at King. We just don't have that manpower yet with the budget to address it. Still short 2 that we're looking to fill already. So as Glenn said, it's a holistic approach, trying to narrow down. That's why the group's so big. But alternatives that we're hopeful the town is going to accept. That makes sense.
So I think I have an answer, because I recall Chief Dockeray talking about the second ambulance is parked behind Town Hall. And because it's not under roof, it has to be completely de-inventoried every time it's parked, and it takes 30 minutes to get it to ready to go from here to the police station to get stocked with equipment and supplies. So I think at one of the meetings, we actually had, the first ambulance was out on a call, and we had a second call in town, and Norwell actually responded because it was quicker than getting the second ambulance.
The second ambulance it's not practical for the second ambulance to respond to a call or multiple calls. It's generally there because it's a mechanical backup. If our ambulance is down for a mechanical reason, it gets brought into service on a regular basis for a few days. So finding someone to go, if there was multiple incidents at the same time, now we're short people anyway. So who's going to go down there to get it? Who's going to stock it? And so it just really wouldn't be that helpful unless it was a long range incident that's expanding. But most likely it wouldn't be the second ambulance that responds. It would be from an out of town, some municipal aid agreement.
But if it were fully stocked,
Then you just have to have a callback person to drive it,
okay.
Right.
So the remedy for staffing issues on a second ambulance run is callback. And the remedy for using a second ambulance in Cohasset is stocking and
Having it
inventory
ready.
and having it ready to go.
Have it under our roof.
Okay.
ready to go. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, then there are other things too. I mean, once that callback person brings the ambulance to the incident, then, he can't drive and tend the patient too.
Right.
So then you say, well, how many police officers are here and what are they?
It's complicated.
The municipal aid is
Yeah.
always going to be helpful.
I thank you for all your work and everyone on the committee who's the work to do it. And I know as it goes through the gauntlet of everybody is worried about cost, which is most certainly something which is on the forefront. I think the other thing is we have to look at what is the public value and what are we looking to do and thinking about the future. Because when you build these things, they're not for just tomorrow, they're for years in advance. And you've got to be thinking long term of how it's all going to fit with the town years down the line, not just today. So I just hope everyone has while we have our budget hat on, looking at the numbers and sharpening our pencils, we also have to have our long range hat and looking at how it's going to fit into the town and some of the projects and some of the obligations that Cohasset's going to have with services, not just for this town, but for others. Because if other towns call us, we have to go there as well. We have mutual aid between the different towns around us. So that always has to be thought of as well. But thank you. That's all my questions. Yeah.
And that came up earlier, Glenn mentioned. So in the iteration that we've come up with, and nothing's written in stone, is that where the annex was supposed to sit, basically shovel ready. So that if we had to, and down the road, if it's another board, town decided that we needed an annex, basically you could seal off the left side of the building and build it with no disruption to police activity at that station. So the future is in mind. It's just, over the goal line.
And, as recently as 6 years ago, whoever could have imagined to plan for a situation where a police station needs a Zoom room to do, arraignments with the court every morning.
Right.
So, and what else is gonna come up? So we know that, we're cognizant that we have to be careful of how much you cut and why.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Plex, do you have any comments or questions?
My only question is, I'm very conscious of all the analysis and effort that's going into this. And while we're doing that, the costs are going up.
Correct.
So I assume as we progress through this process, we're going to be able to say, because we took 3 years to do all this analysis, the costs have gone up this much.
That was a key point of discussion the other day.
That was a very discouraging discussion the other day. At the end of the day, we might not have gained ourselves anything, but that's one thing we're gonna find out in the
Well,
next
what
couple
was,
months.
we could have had a stage $600,000 back in 1979.
79,
So the days are long gone.
I just want to be able to
Yeah,
come back
right.
to, now that we've taken the time and effort to remove the fire station annex, the time that we took to talk about that and analyze it cost us the money that we would have saved.
in the money that it cost to re-engineer, that's a big thing.
I just want to make sure when we come back to town meeting with a proposal and somebody says, well, have you thought about taking out a bathroom? That we can provide that information about what that cost would be relative to the potential savings.
Right. One of the things that has been very helpful in this committee is that we have an embedded person from advisory and capital budget, because now we're getting their headset, their questions are coming up as we go through our deliberations. As a matter of fact, I got invited, I think, to one of the capital budget meeting sessions when they're going to talk about this again in the next few weeks. So that'll be good. Now I'll be able to kind of talk.
Right. I have a couple of comments. So when you were talking about the communication plan, may I make a request that the communications get emailed to the select board? Because I'm not on Facebook 143 anymore. I can't take it. So,
Okay, we'll do.
yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So that would be great. The other thing is, as you look at costs, adding and subtracting and what things are, I think at the end of the day, a lot of people look at what's it going to cost me on my taxes. So if the $17 million price tag was going to cost X on the median, that assessed home value of 1.1 million, by taking the annex off, excluding any increase in costing because of the time we're taking the annex. So say that was $1,000, right? But taking the annex off is going to save $75 out of $1,000 bill. Is that really?
That's what we're going to look at.
Is that really the decision? Are we really going to sacrifice it, notwithstanding the staffing issues? Okay, but I think those are the things people like to hear about. What's it going to cost me? I think that's something we've all learned here being on this board, is people want to know what's it going to cost me. That was number 2. And then number 3. Oh, I've forgotten it, Glenn. I know how to find you if I can think of.
So
my
one of the
third
things,
one.
one of the things that of course focuses us on taking out the substation is the first pass to reduce cost is it's what we call low hanging fruit. Okay, there's one chunk, there's one thing you can identify to do instead of just rearranging the chairs in the building. So, but we don't know what it'll turn out like. We're going to find out.
Yeah.
We've heard, the town meeting say, or the board say, go back and look again, or been saying to us for a lot of time, what's our plan B? So now we're going to be able to have one to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, the reason for the substation, I think, is still very valid. Okay. And, God forbid, we don't have the response time that we need to have in a critical emergency.
Yep.
We need to have it. And if the tax impact is $75, is it really worth it?
Right.
So, I know that, the police show up first. They always get there first. They have certain equipment in their vehicles. So, it's okay. But we started the conversation in 2023 about adding the fire substation and how critical it was to the safety and well-being of all Cohasset residents. Oh, I know what the third thing was. So, Michelle and I have had a conversation, and this is a working group. And I think that there has been, some comments or questions or concerns about, should it continue on as a working group or should it be a charged committee? And under open meeting law, the charged committee should be posting their meetings. I know you have video recordings of your meetings, but minutes need to be done. And we have a determination, we have information from town council. I haven't gotten through it. Have you gotten through it, Michelle? Could you speak to this?
So,
Is her thing on?
so we asked town council their opinion based on it being a working group, or a charge committee. And really, anytime there's a subcommittee or a working group, depending on who they report to, in their voting status, they need to be charged as a committee from the select board. So I think the final determination was that this working group essentially should be a charge committee, based on what they're working on, based on the fact that they're taking votes and based on the fact that they're advising the select board. So.
Okay. I kind of thought it was going to go that way. Does everyone understand the distinction? A working group typically reports into the town manager, and a charge committee, like two town hall working groups ago, were a charge committee. So we would have to come up with retrofit a charge for the committee, come up with a composition of the committee, which already exists, and then you have obligations under open meeting law. What are people's thoughts on that?
That's fine as long as they can keep a quorum. Because how many people are on it?
There's 12 plus the firefighters union, so it's 17 total.
17 totals. They need
Eight,
nine.
9 people.
You could have 9 at every meeting, or else you can't have a meeting. As long as they can do that, that's fine.
We can't know about the firefighters because they may be on shift, so.
So there's 5 firefighters on this.
Well, they come and we welcome them in to participate because we think that we need them on our side and deliberating with us rather than being surprised like we were before.
Yeah.
So we could maybe say they're not part of the committee, but we let them participate in everything. And we do remind them, sometimes we do remind them, you are a union. So, they.
Or maybe you appoint one member to
Yeah.
be on the committee and he can report back. They're all welcome to attend
Yeah.
as they would any other meeting.
Yeah.
But just appoint one.
That probably would be the way, yeah.
Because other than Police Chief Quigley, you don't have any representation from the police force.
We do, we have Sergeant Reardon, who is also a resident.
Okay,
Pat Reardon.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
all right.
So, yeah, almost everybody is a resident with the exception of Chief Quigley.
Okay, great. Mr. Plex, do you have anything?
No,
No.
I think it makes sense. Happy to follow town council's guidance.
Okay, so why don't we, for our next meeting, Glenn, I'm happy to work with you as the chair. We can come up with a chart.
I was going to say, yeah.
Come up with a charge and come up with the composition of the committee and come back. When do we meet again? January 6th. And we'll put it to the board and vote.
Yeah, we won't have any new information by then because we're not meeting again until the 8th, but we certainly can work on that.
Yeah, we'll just work on the charge and get the vote, start the new year with a charge. I think it'll be the cleanest thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
And it will, eradicate potentially any issue on town meeting floor.
Right.
Okay, so that's a plan. Great, thank you for asking for town council's opinion. Okay,
Okay, great.
great, thank you. Okay, next up, town manager, finance director position discussion. So, Michelle and I have had some back and forth on finance director. Perhaps, do we want to go first, Michelle, to the search firms
Sure.
for the town manager position?
So, as asked, we asked 3 different firms to present a proposal for the town manager search committee. We received 2 proposals back. The 3 that were asked were Paradigm, MRI, and the Collins Center. We received proposals back from the Collins Center and MRI. Paradigm has future commitments and cannot help us with this search. They're both different. The costs of both are around the same. It's gonna cost about $14,000 for the search. If in fact you'd want to bring them in and interview them to see who is the best fit for Cohasset to conduct the search, I think that's appropriate. And as far as the search timeframe, they're open and available as soon as possible. And that's both firms. So I think it's whatever the board desires and
Mhm.
whoever you choose.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Michelle. Comments, questions?
So the second one that bid said they couldn't do it, or did I get that right, or was it the third one you were saying?
The third.
There were 3 solicited.
Okay.
Two responded, and one said they had too many commitments in the future. They're not proposed.
But the 2 that responded can do it.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I feel, that I would like to have a conversation with each of these people. It's a practice we did when we were looking for superintendent. And I was on the school committee, and I think, their proposal is, other than changing out, town names for Cohasset, they're pretty generic and although in my heart, Cohasset is a very, very special place, they don't look at it that way. And I think we are in some unique circumstances. We are not structured the way a lot of other towns are with town administrators and different kinds of things. And to be completely honest, I know David's aware of what's gone on in Marshfield with the Collins Center, and I was extremely disappointed to read about some of their parameters in terms of the search committee, what they can and can't do and say and not say and search and not search, which is something new in terms of my exposure to the Collins Center. So I would want to probe through that issue a little bit more deeply. Our bylaw indicates we have to have a search committee. Our bylaw doesn't indicate we have to have a search firm. So I would like to get them in at our next meeting.
Sure.
If everyone's open to that. Okay,
I think getting time, yeah, for both of them, put it,
yeah, I would put them back to back.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'll reserve my questions and comments until they're here.
okay. Okay, so that's up. So then comes the finance director position, which we have had as a town in the past, and we've had, we have a town accountant who works part-time, but is presently doing most of a full-time job in a part-time schedule, which is awesome, but also concerning. You don't want someone to get burnt out doing that. And as Michelle and I have talked about, I think we have immediate needs. And I think if we look at everything that's going on around us in other communities and, budget surprises like in Whitman Hanson of 1.43 million in the schools and town manager searches that are falling apart and school positions getting cut and contracts being done, even though FY27 is going to be challenging, I think going forward, it's going to be even more challenging. And I think there's more in-depth analysis and study that we can do with some additional support in the finance area. Whether it's a full-time finance director position or it's a hybrid position, I think we need more than 23 hours a week for this. So I'll open it up to my colleagues for their comments.
The finance director position, that's been posted, hasn't it?
It was posted, it's been taken down. There was no applicants when it was posted. I think the challenge you're gonna face also with looking for a finance director is I think you need secure leadership first. So town manager first, finance director. Also, as far as the finance director goes, There are a lot of things in the job description, as Alan pointed out, that were in the current job description that don't necessarily tell the story as to what we need. So I think we really need to take a hard look at that position and see, you know, what tasks need to be incorporated based on our.
Thank you. I think from before I made the comment a couple weeks ago, I think we're gonna need while we're looking at potential firm for a town manager search, I think we need one for the finance director. Because we've put it out there to the MMA and out there on Monster.com and all these things. And we're not getting the candidates, and that potentially, it doesn't mean we will, but the potential of getting a proper candidate is going to come from the connections that the firms might have. And because these firms do town managers, they would certainly be in the same circles to know finance directors as well, of any that wanted to move from another town or any that are maybe on the bench or in between careers or whatever. And that position, I just think, is going to be critical for the town as we're looking in how we're going to finance potential big projects. And it's not just critical for the select board and the people in town, but the other boards as well. The advisory board, the capital budget board, they would be dealing with this person as well and looking at potential of what, you know, the different bonds vis-a-vis years, vis-a-vis rates, and things like that. And in order to make a decision, you have to make an informed decision. But if you don't have the information, you can't make an informed decision. And that's what we're going to need the financial director's position based upon where the town is, and especially with the big projects we're going to have coming up. So I think we need to get a firm to come in and try and look for one.
I also agree with Michelle that we've got to set leadership first. But I will say this, and also if we do engage a firm, you know, if we're on a reset as far as town leadership, things along those lines, we have to define the role.
Mhm.
Is it going to be a full-time finance director? Do we really need that? Is it going to be a hybrid position so that that person would maybe be able to assume some of the tasks of an assistant town manager? We don't know. But what I would say is this: before we engage anybody, we as a town have to define the role in the person that we're looking for. Before we strictly say finance manager, someone who's an accountant by background, we may need someone who's got, you know, some other areas of expertise, and you know, it may be a perfect job for someone, but we have to define that role before we put it out there and pay for service, I would think.
Alex?
I agree with my colleagues. I think it makes sense to have the town manager in place before we hire the finance director. I think the town manager needs to be involved in defining the role. I definitely think with the things that we have coming, we're going to need a finance director who can really support it. Whether or not a search firm is required, David, I think you make a fair point that we haven't had any applicants. I'd be real tempted when the time comes to put it up, see if we get any applicants, just because I hate spending the money on a search firm before we engage a search firm, but that's a decision that's down the road a bit.
Okay. Okay, so I think this will be immediately, you know, first is the town manager. We get the search firms in, we start that process, and you know, I agree we need to have a town manager to set the tone and build the team. But it's also part of what has our town manager position in the past been doing in terms of finance that we don't really know about because it's been assimilated into the town manager role. So I think it's really important that we clearly define what has the treasurer been doing because we haven't been having a finance director. What has the town accountant been doing because we haven't had a finance director, you know, and we've talked about health insurance. That really needs a deep dive. If we're really going to be serious about looking at our health insurance for our employees, we need a deep dive on that. We have MSBA potentially coming up, you know, and that's going to be a very, very challenging situation for the schools who will need support from the town on how to orchestrate all of that. So I think it's really important. So maybe we look at, what are the roles? How do we want town hall to look? How do we want a town manager to look? An assistant town manager, and a full-time accountant, a part-time accountant, a part-time finance director? How do we want it to look? What are the tasks and what are we going to need going forward? It's easy to look at what we've done in the past, but what are we going to need going forward? So, after the new year, we'll get a smaller group together maybe and talk about all of that.
That's a great idea.
Okay.
I also think that's something that'll come up during budget conversations as well.
Okay,
The only thing I would mention is that the town manager and the finance director are found in two different ways. Town manager, by the bylaw, we have to have a search committee,
Mhm.
and then that is brought forward to the select board to appoint. With the finance director position, that is basically chosen by the town manager
yeah.
and then brought to the select board to
Mhm.
approve. It's one of those positions. And the reason is that it's separate from just a town manager appointment or, like a typical, HR appointment, is that there was supposed to be a separation between the town manager and finance director in the approval process. So it's not an employee of the town manager. And that finance person, it can be somewhat independent, even though they have to work together and they've got to work with all the other boards and things like that. But they can provide their independent analysis based upon their experience and education alike. So they're even though we talk about the two, there's two separate roads to getting them. Thank you.
okay. Okay, so our action points on this is we'll get the two search firms in. Something I think that is really important, which I don't think Marshfield did, is developing a leadership profile. And it's getting stakeholders involved and saying, oh, okay, what are the characteristics? What are the skill sets? What are the aptitudes that Cohasset wants in a town manager? And candidates then get screened based off that leadership profile. Clearly where Marshfield didn't have one because they had two candidates that didn't meet the needs of the town. So, okay, great. No more discussion on that? No, okay, town manager update?
So really quick, it's the last meeting of the year.
Mhm.
The holidays are upon us, so I just want to thank everybody, all the committees, all the employees for all their hard work over the year. I just want to wish everyone a very healthy, happy holiday season. And I hope to see everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Farag, any comments?
Is this select board comments at this point?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. I just had a couple. The first is, I just want again, and for everybody's edification, to again thank the Cohasset Police Department for all work regarding the Walsh case. As many of you know, it all started back on January the 4th in 2023, and all of the work that they did, which the department had to commit substantial personnel and resources in an exhaustive effort at first, which was a missing person investigation, if people remember, that there was over 16 police officers, 2 detectives, detective commander, and they collectively logged more than 600 hours in overtime alone to deal with the missing person search. And then as the case went along, all their efforts that they did in working with the Massachusetts State Police, in working with all the troopers, the DA's office, collecting surveillance video, documenting the movements, conducting recorded interviews, and everything that they did to bring that case to a successful conclusion. And we just cannot thank them enough for what they did. And everyone in the town owes them a debt of gratitude, because when you look at some of the other towns as an example, vis-a-vis the Cohasset Police Department and the way that they performed under pressure versus some of the other ones, and their towns in our county, the difference is incredible. And what they did, it starts at the top. It starts with our police chief, the line of command after that, and then all the training that every police officer does. Because when you're in the fog of an investigation, when things are happening fast, you have to rely on your training. in order to do that. And you can see how they were in absolute tip-top shape and were able to perform admirably. And it's just such a contrast compared to some of the other towns that it needs to be out there, and everyone needs to be singing their praises. And it was a horrible tragedy, and our thoughts and prayers obviously go out with the Walsh children for everything that they've gone through. And it's hopefully in conclusion at this point in time. Secondarily, I would like to thank, we just had the holiday tree lighting on the common, and I want to thank everyone for the Chamber of Commerce, everyone for putting that together. It was an excellent time, and thank facilities for getting all the lights up. Once again, it was a successful event. And then finally, I know Ellen will talk more about it, but I'll just say quickly is again, Cohasset, congratulations on your Super Bowl win, and Ellen can talk more about that. Thank you.
I was in Florida, so I didn't
Yes.
go. But, okay, Mr. Grady?
Just would like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas. Best in the holiday season. Safe. Hopefully 26 brings good things to Cohasset, including a police and fire station, a new town hall, and maybe a couple new sidewalks. So that's my wish for the new year. And for the season.
Go ahead.
Happy holidays. I hope all the kids enjoy the snow while we've got it. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Yeah, the Skippers had a great win. And I didn't get too many highlights, believe it or not, from one of the coaches. But anyway, so I'll echo everyone's wishes for a good holiday season. I'd like to thank my colleagues, Ms. Rollins, she's not here. We've done a lot of good work this year. We have more work to do. I'd like to thank the over 30 boards and committees out there and all of the volunteers that serve on those boards. Mr. Pratt here is on multiple boards, as we've seen, as is Ms. Bestick. Mr. Tarpey is involved. And without our community members, the town of Cohasset can't run. The advice, the research, the thought, the challenges, the tasks that they undertake are something that our staff couldn't possibly do in the time allotted and get their own jobs done. So we'll have more conversation in the new year about the budget, about FY27, what we're looking like. And I encourage everyone, you know, I don't want to damper the holiday season, but take a look at what's going on in other towns right now. And I feel incredibly blessed that we are in a good financial position as a town. We have good, solid financial policies. We heard from our PEB committee at our last meeting. We have a funding policy in place for road, sidewalks, school stabilization, capital budget. We've finally started increasing that contribution every year. And I feel that we're in a good place and we need to stay in a good place. And 2026, we'll see some reset in town management and just positive things going forward. So that's all I have. So at that point, I would like a motion to approve the minutes of 12/2/2025. Mr. Grady, you were not present, so you can't make that motion. So, Mr. Plex, do you
So
want?
moved.
Okay. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? You abstain?
I want a copy of them.
You got it.
No, but I want a copy of the meeting sent to me. I'm kidding, I understand.
Oh my God, my heart just stopped. I'm like, what is he talking about? Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn at 8:59?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our next meeting is January 6th. Thank you, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.